Welcome to No Excuses and to week 9 of the 75 Hard Challenge. And let me tell you, this week was hard. This week was interesting in a couple different ways. So it is now the end of week 9, and I want to go and look and see what footage I have from the week and to see what I talked about and go through all of that. And well, there's nothing at all. Zero, zilch, nada. I filmed not 1 second last week. Nothing. However, I did read every day on my nonfiction. I got my water in. I got my inside exercise and I got my outside exercise done. And I kept my calories under 1,500 except for one day, but I am allowed 1 day of caloric freedom, so that is still allowed. So I still managed everything. I just didn't film it. Honestly, kind of felt good to not even think about it, just to do. And I really don't know if I could have dealt with anything more. It was a rough week. It's week 9. I only have 10 and a half weeks of this challenge. But week 9 proved to be difficult. There was a day that I didn't exercise in the morning, and I had a serious thought of not doing it. And not only did I have a serious thought of not doing it, I actually had a serious thought of lying about it. No one's going to know that I didn't do it. No one's going to know. I would have known. So I did it. Yeah. That's the kind of week I've been having. Do I really need to do this? If I don't do it, who's going to really know? Yeah. But I have pushed through. I have done it, and I have finished week 9. Yeah, there we go. Nothing fancy this week. Just telling you that week 9 is here. Exercised. I got outside. I did what I needed to do. The one thing I went overboard on is reading. The books that I read for the nonfiction this week were incredible. So what did I read this week in terms of nonfiction? I read a book called In Defiance of Hitler. It is about a gentleman who actually saw some of the persecution against the Jews before it really became widespread in knowledge and terms. And he actually did an interview with somebody, because he was a journalist, and did an interview and heard that Hitler wanted to just annihilate and kill all of the Jews. So he kind of had an idea. And so he ended up working in the States and became part of a committee to help save the Jews. And they needed someone to go over to try to help get some of the more famous Jews in terms of the arts out. People that were, musicians, artists, writers, that kind of stuff. And they couldn't find anybody to go. So this guy went, and he was only supposed to be there for a couple weeks. He ended up staying for over a year. Saved quite a few people. Amazing story. The next nonfiction book I read was called Being Henry. And this is a autobiography by Henry Winkler, the Fonz. And it was very interesting. He actually talked about his childhood. His childhood was not happy. He actually talked about the fears after you've been so popular with such an iconic character. The fear of, never having that again. The fear of work. The fear of, whatever. It was a very fascinating book. And then I read The Woman Who Could Not Be Silenced. This book was top notch. Now, over the years, I've heard little bits and pieces about ladies who in the 1800s, if their husband didn't like what they said, or they weren't towing the line or whatever, the husband was able to send them to an insane asylum because they were crazy, because they didn't bow to his wishes. And this book is about a lady who, her husband was a preacher, and she had radical views. And she started standing up for her views and her opinions, and he had her put away. She was in an insane asylum for over 3 years. And the whole time she was like, I'm not crazy. And she finally did get out. Basically, she got out because she was such a loudmouth, and she was actually so vocal about what she was, and she was really trying to push, and that they basically just let her go to shut her up because they just didn't want to deal with her. And when she got out, she did not stop. She actually pushed for the rights of the insane. She actually pushed for the fact that somebody needs to have a valid trial before they get put into an insane asylum. She actually pushed for women's rights. She actually had a lot of bills and a lot of laws passed that actually helped protect women, the insane community, a whole bunch. And she never let up. It was her passion. And the book was fascinating. So I read like 3. I did still read some other fiction too, but those are the 3 nonfiction that I read. Could not put them down. So there you go. So yeah, I went above and beyond with the books, but everything else I kind of squeaked by, and I actually will say that I did not cheat. Wanted to. Thought about it, but I did not. No excuses.